Let's be honest, the GTA Trilogy era is probably one of the most important chapters in Rockstar's history. It defined an entire generation of open-world games. GTA 3 revolutionized the genre, Vice City gave it style and personality, and San Andreas pushed it to the absolute limit with RPG-like systems and massive scale.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
Who winning?
Who you think, huh? Me?
And modders have spent years trying to bring these classics into the newer Rage engine, sometimes with incredible results, and sometimes not so much. So today we're taking a look at 3 massive fan projects that aim to remake the entire trilogy inside newer Rockstar engines. But let's start with the least known, and sadly, the most unfinished one. This is the GTA 3 Rage Classic mod. It was first released in 2012, and when you launch it, it actually gives you a bit of hope. The intro scene mirrors the original game. You start on the bridge with 8-Ball next to a Kuruma, just like in vanilla GTA 3. For a second you think, okay, maybe this could actually be a proper remake. But then, nothing happens. 8-Ball just stands there. He doesn't get in the car, the mission doesn't start, and you quickly realize there are no missions at all. And what's even worse, there are no side activities either. And I'm not gonna lie, the mod feels pretty rough overall. You've probably already noticed in the footage how it weirdly mixes both 3D and HD era vehicles in traffic. One second, you're seeing a classic GTA 3 car, and the next there's a modern GTA 4 sedan driving next to it. The styles don't match at all. It's visually weird and kinda breaks the vibe. And I wish that was the only issue, but unfortunately, the problems go deeper. If the mod at least let us roam around and mess with the cops like back in the day, I'd still call it worth checking out. But that's not exactly easy either. The mod is extremely unstable. Personally, I couldn't play it for more than 20 minutes at a time without a crash, cause most of the time, it breaks after just 5 or 10 minutes. And sadly, as far as I know, there's no alternative. This is the only known attempt at porting GTA 3 to the Rage engine, so unless you've got a lot of patience and you're really curious, there's not much here for a full experience. But now let's move on to something way more ambitious. Because while the GTA 3 mod felt more like a tech demo, this next one is an actual remake. And yes, I'm talking about the Vice City Next Gen Edition. This mod is a fully remade version of Vice City, bringing back all the classic missions, side quests, and iconic locations, but now running on GTA 4's engine. This mod shouldn't be compared to the definitive edition. It's not a remaster. Calling it a Next Gen Edition was a smart move because it's more than just an upgrade. It's a perfect blend of GTA Vice City's classic charm, with all the technical advantages that the 4's engine brings to the table. The list of improvements from GTA 4 that enhance the overall experience is truly impressive. The beloved ragdoll physics, the ability to swim instead of drowning like in the original Vice City, more weather types, and overall more realistic weather effects. The list goes on, and while not everyone will love it, especially those who aren't fans of GTA 4's handling mechanics, I personally think these additions improve the experience a lot. Plus, the ability to take calls while driving any vehicle is a great quality of life improvement that feels right at home in this version. This mod is not just impressive, it's groundbreaking. For the first time in the entire history of GTA modding, modders have managed to port the entire story from one GTA game to another. It's a huge milestone for the community, and what's even more exciting is that the modders announced the project will be open source. This means other modders can use their work as a foundation to port missions from other GTA games. We could potentially see full mission ports of GTA 3 or San Andreas in the future. It's worth noting that while the modders figured out how to port missions to the GTA 4 engine, it's an entirely different story for GTA 5. Even though both games run on the Rage engine, GTA 5 uses a more advanced iteration, and so far, no one has cracked the code to port missions from older GTAs to 5. This makes the GTA 4 engine the only viable platform for projects like this, at least for now. But thanks to this project, we finally have proof that it's possible, and it opens the door for more incredible mods in the future. On top of the main story missions, this mod brings back a ton of side missions and activities from the original Vice City. Almost everything you remember from the original is here. You can still buy properties like the Malibu Club, and all the missions tied to them. What's cool is that instead of collecting money from floating icons, you now pick it up from realistic objects, like a money counter or printer. The modders even reimagined how buying properties works. You'll find for sale signs across the city, and some buildings even have detailed interiors you can explore, like Tommy's Hotel or local stores. On top of all that, the mod doesn't just bring back the original Vice City voice lines, it also introduces something entirely new. Since the Revolution team consists of 4 modders from Russia, they went a step further and added Russian voice acting, recorded in a professional studio. While this may not seem like a big deal to some, it's a significant addition for players in Russia and neighboring countries, where the GTA Trilogy has always been extremely popular. This addition shows how much the team cares about the project and their audience, making sure it's accessible and enjoyable for their local community, while staying true to the global appeal of the original game. The visuals in this mod are on another level. The team added full E&B support, and you can enable or disable it directly from their custom launcher. If you want to stick to the vanilla GTA 4 graphics, you can turn it off, but I definitely recommend keeping it on. The modders clearly put a lot of time into tweaking the E&B settings to perfectly match the Vice City vibe, and it shows. The lighting, reflections, and overall atmosphere with the E&B enabled make the city look absolutely stunning, especially at night. It's hard to imagine playing without it once you see how much it enhances the graphics. Of course, it's not just the E&B doing all the work. The team also manually recreated and improved the lighting throughout the game, especially in interiors. A few weeks ago, they posted a comparison showing the differences, and the improvements are massive. Interiors that once felt flat now look vibrant and atmospheric, with lighting that completely transforms the mood of each location. All the iconic radio stations from Vice City have been fully ported over, but what's even better is that they decided to use the PS2 version instead of the PC ones. This means you get the full original soundtrack, including songs that were removed from the PC version due to licensing issues. And let's be honest, Vice City probably had one of the best, if not the best, soundtracks across all the GTA games. From the timeless classics to the vibe-setting tracks that define the game, being able to listen to the full, uncut version makes cruising around the city feel even more special. For those who love using cheat codes, the developers have made sure to include them in this mod as well. Unlike GTA 4, where cheats were entered through a phone, this mod lets you type them in just like you did in the original Vice City. It's a nostalgic touch that brings back memories of scribbling cheat codes on scraps of paper and experimenting with them for hours. Whether you want to spawn vehicles, lower your wanted level, or just cause chaos, the cheat codes are fully functional and feel just as satisfying as they did back in the day. That said, the mod currently includes 26 cheats, while the original Vice City had 58. Some fan favorites like Seaways haven't been ported yet, but honestly, it's better than nothing, and the cheats that are available work perfectly. Plus, the launcher seems to include the ability to update the mod, so there's a chance we might see more cheats added in future updates. The mod isn't without its flaws, and there are definitely some areas that could use improvement. One of the biggest issues is the random crashes. If it happens after you've finished a mission, it's not the end of the world because of the auto-save feature, but if it happens during a long mission, it's a huge headache since you lose all your progress and have to start over. Another noticeable flaw is with the cutscene animations. They're not as smooth as they could be, and you can even spot the stuttering in the official trailer. It's not perfect, but at least we're getting proper in-game cutscenes instead of some low-effort pre-recorded videos, so I'll take it. Then there's the infamous Z-fighting issue, which is a well-known problem with the Rage engine. It's hard to ignore when you see flickering textures on windows or buildings, and while it doesn't ruin the gameplay, it does break the immersion a bit. Map collisions are another problem. You'll occasionally crash into curbs or objects that shouldn't be an obstacle, and it can make driving around feel a bit clunky. On top of that, there are a handful of smaller bugs scattered throughout the game, but nothing that makes it unplayable. Considering this is the first release, and it was made by just 4 modders working for 2 years, it's honestly impressive they've gotten this far. Hopefully, they'll get some well-earned rest and come back later with updates to iron out these issues. Even with its flaws, this mod is a massive achievement, and I'm excited to see how it evolves in the future. Of course, not everything has been smooth sailing for this project. Take-Two Interactive has already taken drastic action against the modders, including deleting their YouTube channel without any prior warning. This takedown comes shortly after the removal of another major project, the Liberty City Preservation Project, which was pulled just 3 weeks after its release. In that case, Rockstar reportedly contacted the team directly and asked them to take the mod down, but with the Revolution team, things played out differently. As far as I know, they weren't contacted by Rockstar or Take-Two. Instead, just days after releasing their teaser trailer, and right before the beta launch, their entire YouTube channel was suddenly deleted. If you try to watch the teaser now, it says it was removed by Take-Two. What makes this even more frustrating is that the team had streamed so much of the development process. And these weren't just casual updates. They served as a key resource for other modders who might want to replicate their workflow on future projects, like porting missions from GTA 3 or San Andreas. With those live streams now gone, the community has lost a valuable source of insight and information. The mod was taken down down even before its official release, but the Revolution team decided to release it anyway. What's likely even more frustrating for Take-Two is that they uploaded it to torrent sites, making it virtually impossible to take down completely. Of course, I won't be providing any links, as that would risk this video being taken down as well. But on the other hand, should we really be angry at Take-Two? Maybe, but let's not forget that these are their rules. Their policies clearly state that no assets from one GTA game can be ported into another. Yes, those rules are strict, but since these assets belong to Rockstar and Take-Two, they have the right to enforce them however they want. Modders who decide to ignore these guidelines should already expect a takedown if they plan to release their work publicly. Do I agree with these rules being so strict? Not at all. It's frustrating because we've seen how other developers are much more open about modding. Rockstar, on the other hand, doesn't give us the creative freedom we deserve as a community. Mods like this show the potential of what fans can create, but instead of embracing it, they try to shut it down. It's a shame, because modding has always been such a vital part of the GTA series legacy. Okay, but that's not the full story. Since the release of Vice City Next Gen Edition, modders have gone even further, adding new graphics enhancements, better vehicles, and all kinds of crazy improvements. So let's see just how much we can improve it. First up, the 80s Vehicle Pack by Benzies Mods. This guy made an entire GTA forums thread dedicated to improving the mod, and this pack is one of the best additions so far. It replaces almost every vehicle in Vice City with HD-era models, keeping everything lore-friendly while making it look way better than the vanilla cars. What makes this pack even better is that the cars are well optimized. While the exteriors are high quality, the interiors are low poly, meaning it should work fine for everyone, not just those with high-end PCs. That doesn't mean it's perfect though. If you've ever modded GTA 4, you probably know about its memory issues. This engine hates replacing models and textures with higher quality versions. That leads to annoying problems like the infamous taxi bug, where almost all cars in traffic become taxis, or map textures failing to load. Thankfully, this pack includes 4Tweaker, a limit adjuster utility that lets you set max memory usage for pedestrian and vehicle models, and fix other common issues. With all that, the pack works perfectly, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks way better than the original vehicles. I respect that Revolution team wanted to keep things as close to the original game as possible, and they did a great job using the highest quality models of the vanilla vehicles. But with this pack, the game actually feels like a next-gen remake. It's worth noting, though, that the 80s Vehicle Pack only replaces the models, so it doesn't touch any of the handling data, so everything still drives the way Rev Team originally intended. And while I do like GTA 4's driving physics, there's definitely room for improvement. That's where the Better Handling mod by The Flash comes in. This mod reworks the handling for all cars and bikes, tweaking things like speed, braking, center of gravity, suspension, and wheel traction. Simply put, vehicles feel much more responsive compared to the heavy, boat-like physics GTA 4 is known for. For anyone who finds 4's handling too sluggish, this mod is a huge improvement. Cars turn quicker, react faster, and overall feel more precise. In some cases though, it might be a little too responsive. For example, the Comet now grips the road like it's glued to it, which doesn't feel quite right. On top of that, all vehicles are noticeably faster, which has both advantages and downsides. On one hand, exploring Vice City feels much smoother. Driving between missions is quicker, making the gameplay less frustrating, especially in a full walkthrough. At the same time, the city's small map feels even smaller with these speed boosts, and high-speed driving can cause streaming issues. I've already seen palm trees suddenly loading in when going too fast. But for anyone used to GTA 5's handling, this mod makes Vice City Next Gen feel much more familiar. 4's physics are great once you get used to them, but they take a lot of practice to master. This mod smooths that out and makes the driving far more accessible. Now, with vehicles and handling replaced, there's still one big problem with GTA 4's driving experience: the camera. The way GTA 4's chase camera works can be frustrating, especially during sharp turns when it struggles to catch up with the car. Unless you're constantly adjusting it manually with the mouse or using the right analog stick, it often fails to keep up, making it hard to see what's ahead. Of course, there's a fix for that too: Centered Car Camera by Julio Nib. This mod was released over 10 years ago, which is crazy, but it still still holds up today. It tweaks the third-person car camera to keep it more centered instead of letting it lag behind, similar to GTA 5. With this mod installed, driving feels way smoother, and you can completely forget about manually adjusting the camera. No need to keep dragging the mouse or tilting the analog stick on every turn. It even comes with a simple menu that can be opened with the insert key, allowing to disable the mod or tweak camera values to match your preference. With this mod, the camera is much more responsive, but it's not perfect. There are a few issues that I noticed while testing it. First, the camera can be a little jittery if the game runs above 60 FPS. My game was running at around 100 frames, and you can probably see some small jitters here and there, but the fix for that was simple. I just locked the game at 60 using the ENB series menu. Another issue is that it gets a little messy when the car is airborne. The camera movement feels a bit unnatural, but it's not a deal breaker. The biggest issue for me, though, is that it completely disables motion blur while driving. I know a lot of people hate motion blur and prefer playing without it, so for some of you, this might actually be a good thing. But I personally like the sense of speed that motion blur gives, and without it, the game feels more static. Before going any further, there's one important thing to mention if you're planning to install all these mods. Make sure to install all DirectX 9 versions and visual redistributable runtimes. Without them, my game refused to launch with scripthook.net installed, so I definitely recommend installing everything first. Links will be in the description below. Now let's take the experience even further with something that was never possible in the 3D era games or even GTA 4, a first-person camera. Not gonna lie, this mod looks incredible when exploring on foot. Walking through Vice City in first person completely changes the feel of the game, making it more immersive than ever. Shootouts in first person also look great, but there's one small issue. Low-quality player and weapon models become way more noticeable. It's not a deal breaker, but for some players, it might be distracting. Driving in first person is not the best idea though. The vehicle interiors are extremely low quality, and seeing them up close kind of ruins the illusion. It honestly looks pretty funny at times. On top of that, it doesn't always play nice with the centered car camera script, causing some weird glitches here and there. But outside of vehicles, first-person mode feels surprisingly great. It's a fresh way to experience Vice City, and I'm definitely going to play around with it more. And the enhancements don't stop there. Next up is Health Regeneration by Hippie Communist, a mod that's basically a relic from the past, released all the way back in 2011, but it fits perfectly into Vice City Next Gen Edition. Let's be honest, some missions in this game can be a bit too brutal. I've failed plenty of them just because I ran out of health. I mean, sure, there are working restaurants like Pizza Hut where you can go inside and fully restore your health, but let's be real, I'm not running to a restaurant in the middle of a shootout. That's where this mod comes in clutch. It automatically restores a set amount of health after a short delay, making missions way more forgiving. You can even customize the max health it regenerates and adjust the delay to match your preference. And as you can see, it works exactly as expected. After getting heavily injured, my health gradually recovered over time, just like in modern GTA games. Now let's upgrade Tommy himself. The HD customizable Tommy plus HD lore accurate weaponry mod by Turnpike completely overhauls the player model with higher quality textures, better proportions, and more customization than ever before. Tommy now has access to a ton of different clothing options, tops, bottoms, shoes, and even miscellaneous gear. Unlike the original model in Next Gen Edition, every outfit is now interchangeable, with several texture variations to choose from. All the classic Vice City outfits have been recreated in HD, keeping everything lore-friendly while making it look way sharper than before. Turnpike also reverted to vanilla GTA 4 animations, fixing weapon placement issues so guns actually fit in Tommy's hands correctly. The mod also includes the Ballad of Gay Tony-style Uzi animations, so Tommy now holds the Tech 9 properly with both hands. The mod even tweaks weapon stats with a modified weapon info file, adjusting magazine sizes to match their real-life counterparts, tweaking rate of fire, and making minor balance changes to damage. And the best part is that Turnpike is still working on updates. He's currently recreating Vice City's original animations for standing, running, and firearm idles, so we'll likely see even more improvements soon. Now, here's another game changer, the Time Cycle mod. For those who don't know, Time Cycle is a crucial file in GTA games that controls lighting, shadows, colors, and overall atmosphere. Next Gen Edition already did a great job with its default time cycle, especially considering it's all running on GTA 4's 17-year-old Rage engine. The lighting looks impressive, and the colors capture the Vice City vibe perfectly. But having more options is always nice, and that's where Dale's 3D era colors time cycle comes in. This mod brings back the lighting style of the original 2002 Vice City, making the game look even closer to the classic version. The difference between Dale's time cycle and the default Next Gen Edition one is huge, as you can see in this comparison. Both versions look great, but personally, I prefer Dale's version since it enhances the overall atmosphere in a way that just feels right. Another great addition is Taxi Reborn. In Next Gen Edition, the taxi feature was completely removed, but this script brings it back. Now you can once again hail a taxi and have a driver take you to your destination.
Hey, yo!
The only catch is that the AI driving is absolutely ridiculous. The taxi driver makes the most irrational turns possible, but somehow you'll almost always make it to your destination in one piece. If you don't feel like watching the chaos unfold, there's an option to skip the ride entirely, but don't expect a free ride. If you don't have enough money to cover the trip, there might be consequences. Another mod adds what I think is a much-needed improvement: sprint inside interiors. As the name suggests, this mod finally allows you to sprint indoors. When I first started playing Next Gen Edition, it was pretty annoying having to slowly jog through interiors. Walking into the Ocean View Hotel and taking forever just to reach Tommy's room upstairs was frustrating. Now, that's no longer an issue. With this mod, moving through interiors is much faster, so there's no more wasting time on slow movement inside buildings. While running around the map, I noticed something felt off: the lack of pedestrian variety. At one point, near the lighthouse, I ran past at least 10 identical female NPCs in a red swimsuit, and they all had red hair. This is actually the same issue that the original Vice City had, where certain pedestrian models would spawn in groups, making the streets feel repetitive. In the original game, a modder named RRT94 fixed this problem with a mod called Ped Variety. Now, a guy named Nelson has ported this mod to Next Gen Edition, and the difference is immediately noticeable. In that same lighthouse area, there's now a much bigger variety of NPCs. I still saw two girls in red swimsuits, but this time, they had different hair colors, and that's how the mod works. Instead of just cloning NPCs, it randomizes details like hat colors, shirt textures, and other small elements, making the streets feel way more alive. What's even better is that it barely affects performance. The mod is almost the same file size as the original, so there's no FPS drop or extra load on memory. So for me, this is a must-have if you're playing Next Gen Edition. Another brilliant improvement comes from Dale again, who created a mod called Mini Project Lights. This mod fixes and enhances various light sources from the original, making lighting look smoother and more realistic. As you can see in these comparison shots, the original lights had harsh, sharp-edged shadows, which didn't look quite right. With this mod, the lighting is much softer and more natural. It comes with multiple color options, letting you choose between default, green, orange, and white. And I went with orange since it fits the 80s atmosphere the best. I also checked out Viceport, one of the locations shown in the comparison images, and the difference is immediately noticeable. The lights look much smoother, and the overall ambiance feels better. Since I picked the orange option, which is pretty close to the original, just slightly warmer, the change isn't massive, but I like it as it is. If you prefer colder toned lighting, you can always switch to a white or green version to match your preference. There's also a mod that restores the classic Vice City HUD, but for some reason, my game refused to launch with it. So I took that as a sign that we should stick with the next gen HUD, but with a few improvements. First up, classic HD weapon icons. I went with the gradient background version, but there are a few other options like beta gradients, no gradients, or standalone icons if you prefer a different style. Next, I added the font fix mod, which brings back the classic Rage Italic and Price Down fonts from the original game. The next piece of the puzzle is classic Vice City weapon sounds. Check it out. The mod isn't perfect yet, and will probably need some updates, but even in its current state, the classic sounds fit the game much better. Even though this is a next-gen edition, there's just something about the original gun sounds that makes it feel more authentic. And while Vice City's remake is seriously impressive, let's not forget the project that started it all. This is the first unofficial GTA San Andreas remake ever made. The first beta dropped in 2011, a whole 10 years before the defective edition even launched. It's called GTA 4 San Andreas, a total conversion mod for GTA 4 that brings the entire San Andreas map into the Rage engine. The last version, Beta 3, was released in 2012, and while it didn't include story missions, it was still way ahead of its time. The mod starts off perfectly. We spawn in Idlewood, Los Santos with the legendary
"Oh shit, here we go again."
From there, we're free to explore the entire map. Unlike Vice City Next Gen Edition, there are no story missions, but back then, porting missions between games seemed impossible. Today, modders know how to do it, but at the time, this was as close to a remake as we could get. The first thing that stands out is the graphics. There's no advanced graphics mod applied here. The team simply tweaked GTA 4's visuals to fit the San Andreas world, and honestly, they nailed it. Back in 2012, this looked like a true next-gen remake. Even today, it still holds up, but there's plenty of room for improvement, especially when you compare it to what Revolution Team did with Vice City, adding a custom ENB series that made the visuals a lot better. As you've probably noticed, San Andreas vehicles are present in the mod, which is a great touch, but they aren't without issues. Even while driving something as simple as the Greenwood, it's easy to see that the taillights look a bit off, and the textures could be higher quality. Another issue is the license plates, or rather, the complete lack of proper ones. In the original San Andreas, plates were dynamic, generating random 7-character numbers on every vehicle. But for some reason, GTA 4's Rage engine abandoned that system, and all plates simply read Liberty City. The mod authors used empty San Andreas plates in vehicles. But because of GTA 4's limitations, all cars now drive around with completely blank plates, or these saying San Andreas. It's not a huge problem, but it's definitely noticeable. Another limitation of the GTA 4 engine is the lack of planes. In Vice City Next Gen Edition, this issue was worked around by replacing planes with helicopters in missions that originally used them. And honestly, it wasn't that noticeable since Vice City's map is relatively small. But here, it's a much bigger issue. Planes technically exist here, but they don't seem to work properly. They spawn in the world, but they lack sounds and don't function as they should, making them feel unfinished. San Andreas is massive compared to Vice City. To put it into perspective, Vice City's map covers approximately 3.5 square miles, while San Andreas spans about 13.9, making it nearly 4 times larger. Not having planes makes traveling between cities feel way slower, and while using something like a Hydra would have been the perfect solution, well, it is what it is. When we arrive at Grove Street, we're immediately attacked by the Ballas, even though we didn't provoke them at all. Fighting back turns into a mini gang war shootout, which is honestly a pretty cool feature. Since GTA 4 didn't have gang territories like San Andreas, the modders had to create this system from scratch, which is pretty impressive. CJ's house is fully enterable straight from the street, and they even kept the floating save disc icon just like in the original game. The interior looks great overall, but it's missing the wardrobe, likely because in San Andreas, the wardrobe wasn't actually part of CJ's house model. Instead, it was a separate interior that loaded when stepping into a yellow marker. Right next to CJ's house, there's a BMX, and this is where things get interesting. Since GTA 4 doesn't have bicycles, the modders had to get creative, so they replaced the Faggio with a BMX. The result is both hilarious and cursed. CJ doesn't pedal at all, and the bike still makes Faggio engine sounds when moving. It almost feels like an electric BMX, but considering this is set in the 90s, that wouldn't make much sense. Another thing worth mentioning, all radio stations are included, along with their classic radio icons. I can't show them here because of copyright, but you'll have to take my word for it. They're all there, just like in the original game. And as you've probably already noticed, the mod also includes the classic San Andreas HUD, which is almost fully functional. Time, money, health, armor, and of course, the minimap radar all work exactly as they should. To be fully functional though, it would still need the statistics list with respect, stamina, muscle, and the rest of the original San Andreas attributes. But even without that, it captures the classic feel really well. And while we're on the topic of muscles, as soon as the game starts, CJ is already bulked up. There's a simple reason for that. The gyms don't work in this mod. This is yet another feature that Rockstar abandoned when transitioning from the 3D to the HD era. Neither GTA 4 nor 5 have functional gyms, and players can't change their character's physique anymore. There's a good chance GTA 6 might bring it back, but that's a topic for another video. As I mentioned earlier, this project doesn't include missions from San Andreas, which is completely understandable, but there was definitely room for more activities to make the world feel more alive. Unfortunately, that's where the mod falls a bit short. The gang wars I talked about earlier are in the game, but they feel pretty limited and sometimes buggy. From what I've seen, they only take place around Grove Street. complete, so it was probably just a preview of a bigger feature that the authors may have planned to expand later. Another activity the mod offers is street races, which sounds exciting until you actually try them. After the countdown starts, none of the AI opponents move. The cars just sit there, so instead of a proper competitive race, it ends up being more of a checkpoint challenge where you just drive through the course alone. After one attempt, there's really no reason to come back to it since it just doesn't work as intended. At this point, it might seem like this project doesn't offer much beyond a simple map port with working traffic, and maybe it's not really worth playing. But before jumping to that conclusion, there's one huge feature that was added in Beta 3, multiplayer. Yes, you heard that right. This 2012 mod had fully functional multiplayer. It only worked on patch 1070, but even with that limitation, it was still an incredible thing. Multiplayer completely changed the experience, making the mod way more meaningful. We could roleplay, set up death matches, organize street races, or just mess around with other players. It gave so much more purpose to the game, even without story missions or other single-player activities. Surprisingly, it looks like this multiplayer still works today. I came across a YouTube video uploaded just a few months ago showing people actually playing deathmatch on it. At this point, I plan to improve the game with some graphics mods, but that turned out to be nearly impossible on Beta 3. This version seems to be incompatible with such mods, causing the launcher to completely stop working, or if the game somehow launched, the game kept freezing after a few seconds. But there's also another must-have mod, a vehicle pack by Zolika. He released it a few years ago, and honestly, it's a game changer for this mod. He noticed how inconsistent the car models are, and how it feels like each one was converted by a different person, with some looking okay and others completely awful. Zolika's pack fixes that issue by converting every San Andreas vehicle to GTA 4's engine with the same level of quality. Everything now looks much more authentic to the original San Andreas style, while also taking advantage of newer modding techniques. The pack includes fully working breakable glass, dirt maps just like in San Andreas, and even tuning features that work with Zolika's trainer. Planes have been adjusted for proper taxiing, meaning they don't spin out like crazy when turning, and cop cars now spawn properly based on the region, so you'll see LSPD in Los Santos, SFPD in San Fierro, and LVPD in Las Venturas. And while there are still some unconverted cars appearing in traffic, it's a massive improvement over the original mod. But I wasn't ready to give up with the graphics improvements just yet. After some digging, I found out that Beta 2 handles additional mods way better, so I decided to give it a try. Getting it to work wasn't easy though. Official links for Beta 2 no longer work, so I had to track it down elsewhere. And even after installing it, the game kept crashing while loading. And now a huge shout out to Robert Tissam for helping me figure it out. It turns out I just had too much leftover junk in my game folder, and after cleaning it up, Beta 2 launched perfectly. The time cycle is slightly different compared to Beta 3, but that's fine because now I could finally install the graphics mod I wanted, CryEnB version 3. Luckily, it runs perfectly on Beta 2, and San Andreas looks so much better. The lighting, shadows, and overall visuals feel way fresher, making the entire game look more modern. But I'm not gonna lie, it's not exactly next-gen graphics. And honestly, I'd say the defective edition actually looks a bit better, especially with the fog and atmosphere improvements added in recent updates. But even with that, I still think this looks better than vanilla San Andreas. And since this is Beta 2, that means we can finally install the Snow Edition, which was only released for this version. For me, this is a huge throwback to 2009, when I was messing around with the old Snow Andreas mod for the original San Andreas. With Snow Edition installed, the entire map is covered in snow, and while the textures are pretty low quality, it somehow fits the game's overall atmosphere. The snowy streets give San Andreas a completely different vibe, making it feel like an alternate winter version of the game we never got. Driving on icy roads is also an interesting experience. Some cars slide all over the place like they're still on summer tires, while others handle surprisingly well. It's a bit random, but it makes driving way more unpredictable, especially at higher speeds. It might not be perfect, but as a bonus feature for Beta 2, it's a really fun addition to mess around with. Overall, installing the mod is pretty straightforward, as long as you have some basic knowledge of modding GTA 4. The most important step is downgrading your game, preferably to version 1070. Once that's done, everything else is smooth sailing. The mod comes with an auto installer and a launcher, which you'll use to apply the hotfix patch. Replaying this mod after all these years really hit me with nostalgia for the early 2010s. That was a time when the GTA modding scene was thriving, with some of the best mods ever created dropping during that era. Mods like GTA 3 Rage, Ghostown Paradise, tons of superhero mods, and many others pushed the limits of what was possible in GTA games. It truly felt like the golden age of modding. And the best part? Back then, Rockstar actually supported the modding community. They even promoted fan fan-made mods on their newswire and acknowledged the work of modders. And this was the era when this project was born. At the time, it was revolutionary, and to be honest, it still holds up today. What's even more surprising is that the project's official website is still online. Usually, I'd expect it to be taken down after a year or two, especially since development stopped a long time ago. It's hard to say why the team left the mod in a beta state. Maybe they lost motivation, or maybe it was because of the upcoming release of GTA 5 at the time. We'll probably never know the real reason. And in contrast to the Revolution team, which consisted of 3 people, a surprisingly large team worked on this project. Bringing together so many people for a fan-made mod is no easy task, especially for a community-driven project. After the huge success of Vice City Next Gen Edition, I started wondering, is there a chance that modders, now with better tools and more experience, might take on similar remakes of GTA 3 and San Andreas? And of course, I'm talking about the key missing piece that only Vice City Next Gen Edition managed to include: fully playable story missions. Imagine if modders actually got together to finish this project. I can already picture how it could turn out. The perfect inspiration would be the fan-made renders by Welcome to the 80s. If you haven't seen his work, he created an absolutely mind-blowing animation of San Andreas, reimagined with modern graphics, realistic lighting, and insane detail. It's exactly what a real remake should look like. And as much as I'd love to see that happen, realistically, the chances are pretty low. A mod like that would almost immediately get taken down by Take-Two, and the creators would be at risk of legal action. The only tiny chance of it ever happening is if a group of passionate fans decided to take on the challenge, spend hundreds of hours recreating these games, and then release the mod anonymously through something like torrents. Of course, I'm not encouraging anything, just letting myself daydream about how incredible that would be. So yeah, that's the unofficial Rage-era remake trilogy. Kinda wild to think modders managed to bring all 3 classic GTAs into newer engines, even if the results vary a lot. But I'm curious, did you ever get the chance to try any of these mods yourself? Or maybe you played them back in the day when they first dropped? Either way, let me know what you think. And who knows, maybe one day we'll see someone finally pull off a full GTA 3 and San Andreas remakes that lives up to its potential. Until then, that's all for now.